Hi WHCA WiCAL members, Jim Stoa, Public Affairs Director, here with Pat LeMire of M3 Insurance. Pat, M3 has been a committed supporter of WHCA WiCAL and our members for many years. Tell us a little more about the history of that commitment and partnership.
Well, M3 was founded back in 1968, and when it started it was more of a life insurance type of agency, and over the next couple of years they brought on an employee benefits line of coverage, and then back in the mid-'80s they became more of a full-service agency, bringing on a property and casualty division. Our foray into this industry really started probably in the late '80s with my predecessor Greg Seabrud, where we noticed that there were certain lines of coverage in particular industries, starting out actually with childcare, whereby we were looking for certain lines of coverage that none of the carriers had at that point. That really was the catalyst of us getting more involved in populations that we considered more vulnerable, and led us into starting to work predominantly with senior living facilities back in the early '90s.
Pat, can you tell our members, are you noticing any trends with nursing home and assisted living facilities that has affected your work with those facilities?
Yeah, one of the biggest trends that I've seen over the last couple of years is really the explosion of AL. I think the assisted living facilities have grown almost tenfold, and what I've been seeing is maybe a lot of ownership entities that have not, I guess, historically been involved in this industry. And so I'm starting to see a lot of investment in AL, but maybe investment from business people that don't have a clinical perspective, or clinical people that maybe haven't ever run a business in and of itself. So that's been sort of a challenge to get them up to par in terms of the facility and how it's run, but more importantly from our standpoint, how we're managing the risk of those facilities. And so we're working with them on how to put their policies and procedures in place, particularly as it pertains to workers' compensation, how that affects the bottom line. So those are things that we're working not only to manage the risk of the operation, but almost help them from a learning standpoint of this is how the facility is run, this is what we need to do clinically. We have our risk management nurses in there almost monthly, working with them on anything from resident handling to bloodborne pathogens, but that's a really big trend that I have seen. And the other trend that I've seen is just higher acuity in AL. Nursing homes are making more of an investment, obviously, in the rehab facilities, just the money is better there. But they're creating more CBRFs where maybe they wouldn't have been in that industry previously, because they're able to just provide more care in an AL CBRF type setting than they have in the past. And so those are just two trends that I in particular have noticed over the last couple of years.
Pat, tell us a little bit about the insurance industry as it pertains to long-term care providers. What issues are they facing from an insurance standpoint, and what can M3 do to help?
Well, you talk to any long-term care provider in the state, I don't care if they're nursing home or assisted living right now, they're going to tell you staffing's the biggest issue that they're having. And a lot of times with that, when we're competing with the Quick Trips of the world and some of these people that are coming off, some of these businesses that are coming off offering a benefits package and higher wages, it really becomes tough because the work that we do in these facilities is so difficult. And so that turnover has become huge. The training of it, the dollars that are being sunk into the training has been really hard on our providers. And so when you have something like that, what we try to do is make sure that we are, as I said previously, developing the right policies and procedures so that as staffing continues to turn over, the program doesn't change, and that we have the right program in place. Because ultimately, it always comes down to bottom line and cost. And if we're not training them properly, both from the standpoint of taking care of the resident and how to stay safe in the work environment, that ultimately is going to cost them down the road. So we're working with them on that. A couple of the other issues right now, emergency preparedness through the mega rule. We're trying to work with our clientele, and we've already done 8-hour seminars on this, and emergency preparedness, setting up disaster plans, disaster scenarios, and how to work through those scenarios if they do come to the facility. So we're working with our clients on that. Another one of the big ticket items that we're working on right now is litigation management. We're trying to work with our facilities right now to although we're always trying to manage the risk on the front end, we know that claims are coming. And so how we prepare them for when that claim comes in or that attorney's letter comes in requesting records becomes very important in the end game. It's not just about paying claims, it's about defending that claim so that we're paying less. And so we really need to work with our facilities and their QA departments to make sure that those are set up properly, that they have the bylaws of the Quality Assurance Committee set up, they have the subcommittees in the right place, and that they're understanding the privilege of the information that they're discussing in those QA committee meetings. So that becomes a very important aspect of what we do, both on the front end and the back end, so that they're not paying out claims more than they should be. So litigation management has really been one of those big ticket items we've been working on as late. We've been doing a lot of training, we've been doing a lot of seminars on defense, working with attorneys to really work with our facilities so that they understand that aspect of it. Another one of the items that has been very important to facilities, especially the ones that have in place, is arbitration agreements. CMS has recently reversed the rule banning arbitration agreements. They banned them back in, I think it was November 2016, and they have since reversed that rule. Arbitration agreements have really helped, not only the facilities, but also the residents and the residents' family really come to a more fair and equitable settlement in the issue of when they have a claim. Things are not getting tied up in the American court system. It's been a lot less expensive, so we're not looking at these long drawn-out trials, and arbitration has really become a fair and equitable way to solve some of the issues that have come up in some of our facilities.
Well, Pat, we once again want to thank M3 Insurance for its longtime partnership and commitment to the long-term care provider community. If you'd like to learn more information about the comprehensive insurance solutions offered by M3 Insurance, here's some more information. Thanks again for watching, and thanks, Pat.
Thank you, Jim.